In this video, we're going to have a look at how to use 2Email in Purple Mash. You can access 2Email via the Tools. Under Communicating and Sharing, you'll see 2Email. In 2Email, you'll see lots of different applications. At the top, the first of these is 2Email itself. To the right of this, if you're logged in as a teacher, you'll see 2Email settings. And to the right of this, you'll see a 2Respond creator. Beneath these three applications, you'll see 2Respond activities. These are pre-made activities that give children a subject when they're learning to email. We'll have a look at these in a moment. Before we do, we'll jump straight into the 2Email application. When you load 2Email, it loads up within the browser like a standard webmail environment. To the left-hand side, you've got your folders, the ones you would expect, the inbox, favourites, drafts, sent, deleted. Beneath that, you've got other folders that we'll look at that we've built in for online safety reasons. Within the inbox, you can create subfolders. I've got the inbox selected. I could favourite any emails using these stars on the left if I'd like to. I can tick emails and delete them or mark them as read, and I can move them between folders if I need to. Hopefully you're noticing these are lots of features of a standard email system. 2Email in Purple Mash is a safe way to teach children email. We'll look at the settings in a minute, but there are two interfaces to 2Email. This is what we call the older interface, and then you can also set the younger interface. As my class are using the younger interface, if I switch into child mode, I'll see what the younger interface looks like. You'll see the view is adapted to be a bit simpler and there are fewer options. Let's switch back to the teacher mode. Composing an email is straightforward. You click on Compose at the top. Here you can see who the email is going to appear as coming from, and underneath that you've got a to line. Within the to line, you can start typing names, and if those names are in your address book, 2Email will suggest them. To the right of the to line, you've got a Contacts button. This is where you can choose contacts for your address book to add into your to field. Above the contacts, you'll see a drop-down. You can use this to filter. I could filter and see all the users in Bumblebee class, for example. Or I could see all of just the staff or all of just the pupils attached to Bumblebee class. If I wanted to send an email to all users in Bumblebee class, for example, I could select this drop-down, choose pupils in Bumblebee, and then select all the children and click on Add to the right. I could add to the To field or to the CC field. These are called pseudo email addresses. These are designed to teach children how email addresses are structured, and although they look like real email addresses, you can't email them from outside of Purple Mash, and children can't email out to external systems either. In a while, when we look in the settings, you'll be able to choose what the children see in here, whether they do see each other's names or just staff members, for example. In the address book, if I go to the bottom here, you'll also see something called Practice Users. These are users in the address book that are not real. Children can choose these if they can't see each other in the address book or if they don't want to email a member of staff, and practice sending an email by sending one to Baby Bear or the Dragon or the Gingerbread Man. Again, this is something you can switch on or off in the settings. So once you've decided who you're sending your email to, underneath you can write a subject in the subject line, and then you can click below to write the body of your message. There are various different text formatting options and emoticons to choose from down the right-hand side. If I scroll down a bit more, once I've finished writing my email, I can send it, save it to draft, attach a file. This could be work from Purple Mash or a file from my computer, or it could be a picture I simply paint in 2Email itself. Once you're happy with the email, you can of course send it. This one I'm going to come out of. Let's talk about these three folders over on the left: awaiting approval, rejected emails, and reported emails. When a child emails another child, unless you've turned off the approval system in Purple Mash, the email will land in your awaiting approval folder. You'll receive a notification in Purple Mash to tell you there's emails waiting to be approved. When you click on Go To, it takes you straight into 2Email. You can click on the awaiting approval folder and see the emails waiting to be approved. Click on the email to open the email, and click on the Approve button if you're happy for the email to reach the recipient. If you open an email that you don't want to approve, you can reject the email. And you can write a message to the sender to tell them why the email was rejected. And that email will then go into your rejected emails folder, so you can have a conversation with the child about it. To explain reported emails, I'm first going to look into a child's inbox. I can do this by clicking on Switch User and choosing the child I want to see. This will load up the child's inbox. We can see here that Alfie's had an email from another child. When this happens, they can read the email, and if they are unsure or dislike the contents, they can click on this Report to Teacher button. The teacher will get an alert, and they'll be able to go to 2Email and check their reported emails folder. Popping back into Alfie's folder, I can see that he's been having an email conversation with this character called Little Red. If I click on the top one, if you scroll down to the bottom of the email, you can open the conversation thread, or you can click on the button that says Full Conversation. In this view, you can read through the full conversation, and you can print it if you'd like to. In that particular example, Little Red was a character from the Little Red Helps Grandma to Respond activity. There are lots of different to Respond activities here, general ones, online safety ones, and famous people. If children click on one of these activities and launch it, they'll receive an email from a character. The email will contain content that will include closed questions. The children are to reply to the email. Once they've written their response, they can click on Send. They'll then receive the next email. The email will thank them for their response and often include another task. The child can then reply again. Below this, as we've seen before, the responses will build in here, and you could also view the full conversation. You can set any to respond as a to-do for the children to work through from their to-dos list. And if you'd like to edit any of these or make something different, then you as a teacher can access to respond Creator, edit any of the ones that are there, or create one from a blank. Before we finish, let's just take a look at the email settings. When you open the email settings, you can choose the class you want to alter the settings for on the left-hand side. You can set the settings for a class or for individual children within a class. You could also set them for a group. Altering the settings for a class, you can choose the interface, younger or older. You can allow emailing to staff members. This will mean the staff members will show up in the children's address book. You can allow emailing within a class. This means the children will see each other's names in the address book. You can switch on or off children-to-children email require approval. You can enable practice users in the address book the children can see, and you can choose to allow or not pseudo emails. If this is set to no, the children will just see names in the address book. If it's set to yes, they will see the full pseudo email address that I pointed out earlier. If you want children to be able to communicate with children in other classes, your admin user will need to set the settings across the school, or you could create a group with children from multiple classes in and use the group settings. Now we've got to know 2Email and 2Email settings, I'm going to share one last thing with you. If a child has done a piece of work they think is brilliant and they want to share it with a peer or with you, they can go up to the menu to the left and click on Share. If they haven't saved the work, it will prompt them to save it, and if they have, they'll get this list here. In this list, you'll see Send an Email. When children click on that, the email window will open. The writing of the email is the same as in 2Email, and at the bottom here, you'll see this piece of work is automatically attached. It's brilliant for applied use of email and for peer assessment.